Salutations, my friends. Well, the weather is warmer and summer is almost here. Prepare for mosquitoes and sunburns. In the tech world, the Radeon 500 series has launched as AMD has continued to take a bite out of Intel's market share. YouTube has hit an adpocalypse and channels are dropping like flies. Meanwhile, we may actually be on the verge of World War III. So before you become a flesh-eating mutant, scraping your way through the wastelands, seeking survivors, or perhaps a lonely shelter dweller stockpiling your supplies, you might want a bit of practice. There is no better Armageddon end-of-days simulator than a good gaming PC. Everything from Metro Last Light to Fallout 4 will help you prepare mentally, as well as give you limitless hours of fun when you're deep underground hiding from the horrors above. So, crank up that generator, make sure the perimeter alarms are active, lock tight the blast doors, and let's go over my $450 build list for the month of April. This is going to be a good one. First up, our CPU, the Pentium G4560. This dual-core CPU from Intel was launched in the first quarter of 2017. It features 4 threads running at a 3.5 GHz base frequency with 3 MB of cache. Built on the 14nm Kaby Lake architecture, this processor consumes only 54 watts of power, making the stock cooler included more than adequate. Combine that with a low price, hyper-threading, and a very respectable single-core performance, and you have an outright i3 killer. In fact, this Pentium only lags about 10% behind an i3 7100. Here we see a single-core score of 103 and a multi-core score of 286 in user benchmark. The CPU mark is rather impressive as well, scoring a 5080 with a single thread of rating of over 2000. At the entry-level price point, this chip is a monster and the current budget gaming king, ranking just above an i5 3470 and just below an i5 2550K in its 3D Mark CPU score. It does feature decent integrated graphics as well if you just want to get this build started and pick up your GPU later on. Grab one for under $60 and game on. For our motherboard, an ASRock B250M. Built on the Intel B250 chipset, this MicroATX motherboard is Kaby Lake ready. It supports 32 gigs of DDR4 2400 memory with 2 onboard DIMM slots. We also have one PCI X16 slot, 2 PCI Express slots, as well as 6 SATA connectors and 1 M.2 socket. For audio, it's got the standard Realtek ALC887 with an Intel 219 NIC. For I/O connections, we have one PS2 port, one D-sub, one DVI-D, and an HDMI connector if you're using an iGPU. It also features 4 USB 3.0 and 2 USB 2.0 ports, giving us plenty of serial connectivity. With its 2 chassis and 1 CPU fan connectors, it's also pretty good and you won't need a splitter. On board we have 2 USB 2.0 and 1 USB 3.0 header. Some things I really like about this ASRock board are the 50 amp chokes and sapphire black PCB. ASRock does budget right. It also comes with 2 SATA cables and an M.2 socket screw. Nice. Pick one up for around $60. For RAM, let's go with G.Skill's Ripjaws V series. With this 8GB memory stick, we can game now and upgrade later. This DDR4 memory runs at a maximum speed of 2800 MHz with a cache latency of 15 and a voltage of 1.2. Our motherboard only has 2 available RAM slots, so I don't believe dual channel is going to be worth the upgrade penalty, so one 8GB stick would be best. Grab one now and grab one in about a year when 16 gigs becomes more common and you need it. For now, 8 gigs is going to give us a decent 1080p gaming experience. Pick one up for around $56 and you're ready to boot. We just need a little storage. For our hard drive, the Hitachi Ultrastar. This 2TB 7200 RPM SAS hard drive has 32 megs of onboard cache and is heavy-duty enterprise grade. No, not that enterprise. With a 1.2 million hour use target and 24/7 enterprise duty cycle, as well as a 5-year warranty, trust me, this thing is built to last and take a beating. It's the Soviet tank of hard drives. It's also some of the cheapest storage out there if you're talking cost per megabyte. The only downside is it does suffer from a dated 3 GB per second connection speed. That being said, its 116 megabytes per second average sequential read speed is not terrible and will be great as a long-term storage or Steam drive. You can pick up a cheap M.2 drive later on if you want to speed up your boot times, and this drive can become your storage. 2 terabytes is, after all, a lot of Steam sales. $56 for 2000 gigs is a great deal. Grab one while they last. For our GPU, the Gigabyte RX 570. To push a few pixels at 1080p and take this build to new heights, let's go with a brand new GPU. This Radeon RX 570 from Gigabyte is built on the Polaris architecture and is basically a sped up, rebranded 470. Still, it's a seriously good value, rivaling an RX 480. With 4 gigs of GDDR5 running on a 256-bit bus, as well as 2048 stream processors, this baby is a budget gaming powerhouse, and currently the best value for any 1080p GPU on the new market. It's also brand spanking new, released in late April of 2017, so be patient when ordering. With its power-efficient 14nm design and 120W TDP, it plays well with any power supply from around 400 to 450 watts. It's more than capable of a little 1440p action as well, with 225 GB per second memory bandwidth and a 7000 MHz effective memory clock. Its 5.7 billion transistors pump out a rather impressive 5 teraflops of floating point performance, ranking just below the R9 290 and 390. This dual slot model from Gigabyte measures 9.1 by 4.5 inches and has a very quiet wind-force dual fan cooling solution. Ranked number 26 out of all current GPUs, and with nearly a 200 frames per second average from user benchmark, this card is a beast. For $168, you really can't go wrong, and this is going to be the card to get for a while. For our case, the Rosewill SRM-1. I've said it before, this is my favorite budget case. It's cheap, it's well built, it's not terrible in any aspect, and it looks great. It's hard to find a better deal at this price. This MicroATX mini tower case weighs around 8 pounds and measures around 14 by 7 by 13 inches. It comes with a pre-installed 120mm fan, as well as an optional 120mm fan on the front and side, which I do recommend picking up if you're dealing with warmer ambient temps. Summer is coming, and in a nice air-conditioned room, this case is awesome. In a hot garage, you better grab those extra fans. We have room for up to a 300mm graphics card, and it's compatible with a lot of smaller tower coolers like the TX3. For expansion, we have one 5.25, two 3.5, and two 2.5-inch drive bays, for a total of 5 expansion slots. On the front panel, we have one USB 3.0, as well as 2 USB 2.0 and an audio and mic input. It also features a bottom-mounted dust filter and is solid black inside and out. Overall, it's a great case. I built several systems with them, and I would highly recommend this to anyone looking for a MicroATX tower for around $20. To power our gaming rig, an EVGA 430W. This 430 watt power supply from EVGA is legendary. It has 34 amps on a single 12 volt rail. It's not modular, and we do have a bit of red and yellow showing, but at this price point, this power supply is a steal. You will see it on almost every budget build. Plus, without a side window, who cares what it looks like? Nearly silent, and EVGA power supplies just work. I've yet to see one die or shoot sparks. 430 watts is also more than enough for our GPU, and we have plenty of 6 and 8 pin power connectors for future upgrades. Keep in mind, our entire system pulls around 300 watts. If you're building a low-cost gaming machine, this or the EVGA 450 are certainly the way to go. $21 with a slightly annoying rebate. That brings our grand total to just under $450. While the RX 570 may be a rebranded 470, it does perform quite well, and we can see here AMD is boasting 2.5 times the performance of a 370, with an impressive 81 frames per second in Battlefield 1. If we head over to Game Debate, the RX 570 meets all minimum requirements for current AAA titles. And finally, HWBench.com is showing our Polaris chip trading blows with the powerful VR-ready GTX 1060, besting its frame rate in a considerable amount of titles at 1080p. If this was a race, they would be neck and neck. I'd bet on Team Red. Combined with our mighty G4560, and this PC is sure to rival any console. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to see more from this channel, keep subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing, all that good stuff. More videos are coming soon. I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe and remember, game on my friends.